Okay, so let's talk about sorting data. You've probably thought of it as a totally solved problem. I mean, you click a button, a list gets sorted, and that's that. But what if the really clever part isn't about sorting a complete disaster, but sorting something that's just a little bit off? Turns out there's often a hidden order in our data, and some algorithms are smart enough to find it and use it to be incredibly fast. And the key to this whole idea comes from a really, really simple sorting algorithm. But here's the weird part. Sometimes this thing is lightning fast, and other times it's just painfully, agonizingly slow. And we're not talking a small difference here. It's a huge, baffling gap in performance. So that's the big question we're tackling. Why? How can a single, dead simple sorting method be so wildly all over the place? The answer is actually pretty profound, and it changes how you think about order and chaos in the first place. The algorithm at the center of this mystery is called straight insertion sort. It's one of the first ones you learn in computer science because it's so intuitive. You just pick up an item from the unsorted part and you slide it backwards into its correct place in the part you've already sorted. You just do that over and over again. Simple, right? And this visualizes our whole puzzle perfectly. On the left, you've got a list that's almost sorted. We run insertion sort on it, and it's done, instantly. Now look at the right. Same exact items, just totally jumbled up. You run the same algorithm, and it just crawls. It's night and day. So what in the world is going on? To get to the bottom of this, we have to stop thinking in black and white terms, sorted or unsorted. We need to get way more specific. We actually need a way to measure the mess. And this right here is the key insight. The secret isn't if a list is a mess, but how it's a mess. Disorder isn't just one thing. It has different shapes, different flavors, and some of those flavors are way easier to deal with than others. Okay, let's put a name to this. Our first and maybe most important way to measure mess is something called inversions. An inversion is just any pair of items that are in the wrong order compared to each other. So a big number that should come after a small number, but it's actually before it. It's literally a count of every little thing that's wrong in the list. Let's make this concrete. Take a look at this sequence here. 6, 2, 4, 1. The 6 is bigger than the 2, the 4, and the 1 that come after it. That's 3 inversions right off the bat. Then you've got the 2, which is bigger than the 1, and the 4, which is also bigger than the 1. You add all those up, and you get a total of 6 inversions. It's a clean, simple number for how out of whack this list is. And it turns out the performance of our little straight insertion sort is almost perfectly tied to this number. The more inversions a list has, the slower it goes. The fewer inversions, the faster it goes. So, mystery solved, right? Well, not so fast. It's about to get a whole lot weirder. I want you to imagine a list. The first half is the numbers 51 through 100, all perfectly sorted. The second half is the numbers 1 through 50, also perfectly sorted. Now, according to our inversion count, this list is a complete disaster. Every single number in the first half is an inversion with every single number in the second. The count is massive, but just look at it. It feels so close to being right, doesn't it? Our inversion count doesn't really capture that feeling. So we need another tool in our toolbox. Let's talk about runs. A run is just a chunk of the list that's already sorted. In that example I just gave with the 2 swapped halves, that list only has 2 runs. And a perfectly sorted list? Well, that has just 1 single run. It's a totally different way of seeing and measuring the hidden order in a list. So now we've got different ways to measure mess, right? We can count the out-of-place pairs using inversions, or we can count the sorted sections using runs. And this leads us to a really powerful idea. What if you could actually design algorithms that are smart enough to actually see this order and then use it to their advantage? This is where we graduate from the simple stuff like insertion sort and level up to much smarter algorithms, the divide and conquer family. These are designed from the ground up to be way more intelligent about how they tackle a problem. The basic game plan for pretty much any divide and conquer sort is this. First, you divide the list into smaller pieces. Second, you sort those little pieces. And third, you merge all those sorted pieces back together into one big sorted list. Now, steps 2 and 3 are pretty standard, but the real magic, the secret sauce that makes an algorithm truly adaptive, is all in step 1. How you decide to break up that list changes absolutely everything. And here's a fantastic example. A straight division is the obvious one. You just chop the list in half. This works great on lists that have a low number of those runs we talked about. But then you have something that sounds bizarre, like an odd-even division, where you split the list into items that are in odd positions and items in even positions. It sounds crazy, but this strategy is actually perfect for a totally different kind of mess. The strategy is tuned to the disorder.
And trust me, this rabbit hole goes way, way deeper. You have super specialized division strategies. Some are basically designed to spot if there are just a few troublemaker items that need to be pulled out. Others are like a Swiss Army knife, built to be good at handling several different kinds of mess all at once. It's about picking the right tool for the job.
So this all builds up to a really fascinating theoretical question. If we can build all these specialized tools for specific kinds of order, could we maybe build one ultimate algorithm? The one sort to rule them all? And that really brings us to the holy grail of this whole field. Is there a single, universal way to measure disorder? A master metric that's just fundamentally better and more comprehensive than all the others? What's so cool is that researchers have actually mapped this out. This diagram looks complicated, but you can think of it like a power ranking, a leaderboard for all the different ways to measure mass. If you design an algorithm that's optimal for one of the measures near the top, it's automatically a champion against all the measures below it. It proves some measures really are more powerful than others. And you knew there was going to be a but. Here's the catch. In the real world, it's all about trade-offs. You could, theoretically, build an algorithm that's amazing at detecting every single kind of order we've talked about. But it would be so complicated, with so much overhead to check for everything, that it would probably be slower in practice than a much simpler algorithm. It's that classic fight between theoretical perfection and practical speed. Okay, that was a pretty deep dive into the theory. But let's pull back. Why does any of this actually matter to you? Why should we care about algorithms that are good at sorting stuff that's already almost right? The answer is this number. Some estimates say that as much as 90% of the data that computers are asked to sort in the real world is already nearly sorted in some fashion. Pure random chaos is actually the exception, not the rule. And it makes sense when you think about it. You update a single contact in your phone book. You add a couple of new songs to a playlist that's already sorted by artist. You take a spreadsheet sorted by date and then immediately sort it by name. In every single one of those cases, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a list that has a ton of existing order. So the next time you sort a playlist or a spreadsheet and it feels instantaneous, just take a second. Realize that what's happening isn't just brute force. It's a very clever, very adaptive algorithm that's smart enough to see the hidden order you just gave it and exploit it to give you that result in a flash.